Yeah.
So God doesn't give you the reason why it's going wrong. But one thing he gives you is how the book ends. He said, all those that ask, believe, and receive, they shall have it. Period. This is the Ask Chris Johnson Show. Let's get it. On this episode of the Ask Chris Johnson Show, we have Rico Rivera Part 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, make sure you go check it out. It's amazing, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy Part 2. It's fire.
So you mentioned that in proximities in the books that maybe other people are reading. But what was the one book that you read when you were young or when you first started in the business that you felt absolutely changed the way you thought of something or changed your life?
I can't just say one, so I'll give a couple that come to mind. One is The Slight Edge. It's a book about consistency and the power of consistency on how that can power your business. Another one is The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. Have you read that one?
Yes.
Okay, great book. One of my favorites is 4 Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss.
Are you doing Audible or are you actually reading?
No, so that's a great question. For those of you that don't like to read, I read so many Audible books that I can listen at 2 times speed and retain the information.
Yes.
Right?
So I do the same thing.
Okay, so
I don't like to read. How many times was it midnight and you're broke and you just took the leap of faith and you're that close to just getting that deal and you were about to, you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, man, listen. I've made $1 million mistakes.
Right.
And so what I mean by that, not figuratively.
Right. I know what you mean.
That mistake cost me $1 million real dollars, Rico. Okay?
That's all that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right? And so that's a very expensive education. There's been times where I got told no back to back to back. There's times where a retailer to my face, a big $1 billion retailer that said, this thing will never work. There's times where you understand a business where you have cash flow and you have expenses and you have that, but where's the cash, right? So I've had all of those types of experiences, man, where no joke, Rico, it was at a point where it's like, dude, I don't want to do this no more. I've had those, and I think I'm pretty tough. But I've had those where everything's going wrong. Everything. Where you can't get a break. So the key is, how do you get past those? What I realized is that we are in a controlled environment. Before, I built businesses and, it was like I couldn't tell what was my faith and what was God doing the work. And just because I was raised up in church, I was always saying, man, giving him the glory. But but in the back of my mind, it's like, dude, I'm kind of a killer. And I remember, and that was with my staffing company, and I remember losing it all. I lost all my wealth. And it humbled me. There's been several situations where my humanity, my work ethic, my grind couldn't get me out of. And it was nothing but the grace of God. Nothing. And he had to show me that. Work ethic only could take you so far. It could bring you a harvest, and that harvest could be something that you don't even want. The faith of God controls all things. It's a controlled environment. Nothing that you are going through or that you will go through will be more than what you can bear. Period. It is to mold you. I'm battle tested, Rico. God gives you the test first and the lesson later. Sometimes you don't know why you're going through this. It's like, dude, I'm a good dude. I'm a good dude. I take care of my family. Lord, why is this happening to me? It does not compute. And what I realized, it's a process. Let me grab this thing. I put this. This is something that I put on my wall of okay, things are not going my way. This is impromptu. Things are not going my way. But you know what? They're going his way. Trust the process. And why is this happening? Because it's making me better. It's strengthening my faith. It's bringing me farther. It's bringing me closer to him. It's making me stronger, and it's allowing me to save more so. So now when I see adversity, I'm anticipating the test.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not going to be moved. I'm not going to be irritable. I'm not going to be angry because I know this is temporary and I'm going to be able to make it happen.
So your mind has changed to know that it's temporary.
Absolutely. It feels huge. It feels real.
It is real.
Right? But
for that moment.
It's you know what it is? It's like a chapter in a book. And in this page, everything is going wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So God doesn't give you the reason why it's going wrong. But one thing he gives you is how the book ends. He said, all those that ask, believe, and receive, they shall have it. Period. So you just got to have faith that when you're turning these bad pages, that you ain't at the end yet.
Right.
And so you look at your life right now and you can see that book is happening. You've seen your biggest trial, the one that made you cry, the one that gave you the most doubt. And you turn the page and you hear. How many has that happened for other people? You hear right now. And so that's how I handle it, man. No opportunity can keep me away from God's harvest for me. It's going to happen. And so that's the mentality that I have. And so what happens, man, is that I'm just stronger mentally and spiritually. I'm stronger than I was a year ago.
Yeah.
I'm twice as strong than I was 2 years ago, just on that mental and spiritual outlook on adversity. And so that's what you want to build up to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's a great way to put it, and something that I think puts everything in perspective for me and a lot of people. It's temporary.
Absolutely.
Temporary.
Absolutely.
Okay, personal question.
Yes.
When is enough? Right? Like, when is your success? And this happened to me, and I've had that question. Why do you want more? Like, when is enough? That's my first question. And second, how do you teach your kids what your parents taught you?
Two good questions. So let me take the first one. My company, the Johnson Group, staffing company, very successful. And I remember I had several contracts. I was making some very good money and I had set it automated where I didn't need to work. So in my mind, I was like, dude, I stopped working. I was retired.
You're done.
I'm done.
29 years old.
29 years old. And I was just like, it's a wrap. The way that was my barometer of how much I do was because I'm so competitive, it was about my peers. And so I would look up and I look at all the other 29-year-olds and I'd be like, I'm killing them. The barometer of how much more you do is not about outside influences or competitive peers. It's about how much you have left.
Bro, drop the mic.
Okay? How much you have left. The barometer is not about how much you have. It's about how much you have left in Rico. What happens is your goals become connected to how much you have left. It switches from some of the stuff of like how much I want to be able to give and impact I want to make, right? Because at some point you'll hit enough goals to where your family and you are good. Right. And if you stop there, you're selfish. You think God put all that in you, Rico, to just bless you and your family? How selfish of you. Think about that.
True.
Think about that.
Yeah,
there could have been a stopping point of like what's enough, but you gotta think your cup's gonna overflow so much. You gotta think big on how you're gonna bless others.
Like you're doing today.
That's right. Right? That's straight up. And so that's my barometer now, man. My barometer is how much do I have left? I don't have a number, Rico. And what I found that these numbers are relative. Because to someone, I'm very successful. But to others, is like, homeboy, you ain't made it yet.
Right.
Right?
You're just starting.
But the key why I'm here, so sometimes that doubt can creep in your mind because I'm with all these successful people, is that I don't give because I haven't reached this level. You are blessed enough at any space that you are to help someone else out.
Agreed.
And so, that answer it?
I did. That's
so
awesome.
the second question. So you asked, how do you instill to your kids
what your parents instilled in you?
I'll talk about the first thing as far as instilling what you've learned, the great values you learned from your parents, and some that you've gotten along the way, because some stuff your parents weren't knowledgeable of.
Correct.
And you absorbed that of like, dude, that's a huge value that I want my kids to have. The first part is living it. And so my boys, like, I'm intentional of how I treat my wife in front of my kids.
Okay.
Because I'm modeling to my daughters that anyone less than this standard of how I treat your mom, how I treat your mom,
not okay,
is they don't even get in the door. It's how I treat her, how I love her, how I encourage her, and it's the same thing with me. And then my boys also could see that. My kids will tell you, I've never lied to them. I choose my words wisely. If I say that it's gonna happen, dude, it's gonna happen. If I said, hey, we're going to Disneyland next Saturday, I don't care what comes up, we're going. And so they get to see that integrity. And so when they see other people of, your dad said this and he didn't do it, they don't know, that's foreign to them. Another huge one is, and this was a battle because so many times, look, dude, we grew up in South Sac.
Yeah.
Right? We grew up in South Sac, man. You just have a desire to bless your children.
Always.
And always, right? And so I used to spoil them like crazy, man. And I remember when I grew up, you only got presents on Christmas and your birthday, dog. Right? That was it. And I used to be at a point where they see something, oh yeah, going to get that just because I love them.
Right.
A wealthy friend of mine told me something, and it changed my life as it relates to my kids and their ambition. He said, you know what you need to do? You need to tell your kids you can have whatever you want. You can have whatever you want. No limitations. Anything. As long as you earn it.
I love it.
Okay, I'll never forget this.
I love it.
Me and my wife had this family meeting. We said, you can have whatever you want as long as you earn it. What happened? The world changed, man. Chloe, 8 years old at the time, she would say, hey mom, I want this toy on Amazon. Can I clean the kitchen, get all that stuff out of the washroom, and do something else to get that? And mom's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, do this, but also do this. Okay, she would do that. Boom, make her Amazon purchase, done. Joe would come, Dad, I really want these Beats. I have $80 from my Christmas money, and I need another $80. And what I wanted to do, can I help you on your? Can I come to your office and work on the Amazon stuff and do some stuff, work for you a couple days this week? Absolutely. He'd come do the work. I'd give him the extra $80. Right. So what happened? They never come to me anymore of asking for something without having something to earn it. Then that propelled Joe as far as entrepreneurship. Right. When he had his joke book. Right. Right. He sold over 1,000 copies. Now he has his own debit card, and he treats us out for dinner. Right. But it's putting that mentality, right, of like, look, whatever you want, you gotta earn it. So now Chris is 19. Even at him being 19, I'm like, look, dude, you can have whatever you want, you gotta earn it. Any idea, any business, I'll invest in it. I'll invest in it. I got the capital for you, but you got to build it. Yeah, right. It's you. That is their expectation, and so we've seen that profoundly change in them, and that's going to prepare them for real life.
I agree to that, 100%.
Absolutely,
100%. I think I got one more. If there was anything you can change, what would you change, and why not? If you wouldn't change anything.
Like change anything
in your life, when you were a kid, when you first started Rapid Ramen.
I would say nothing.
Okay.
And I would say that because there's so many mistakes that I've made on this journey that I regret. But I realized, man, it built a character in me. God saw fit that I had to go through that and shoulder that, so other people like you don't have to go through that. I'll take it. I don't regret that. Because I'm learning and I'm getting better from that. This is not my last rodeo. So I tell you, like, the next venture, oh my gosh, it's a wrap, man. I've made enough mistakes. Right. That so I wouldn't say I have no regrets, man.
Okay. I love it.
I have no regrets.
I just finished reading the book, Ego is the Enemy.
Never heard of that.
How do you keep your own ego on check? Why doesn't it say Johnson Reds? Why does it say Rapid Ramen?
You know, I know why that is. I regardless of Rapid Brands or, you know, because I got a company called Johnson, right?
So there's a difference, though.
Yeah. So but I get your point. Your point is, you know, how do you maintain not having too big of an ego?
Correct.
And being the guy that's, you know, man, I'm the man, and no one can tell me nothing. How and success getting your head too big.
Correct.
That's your question. It's been easy for me. And the reason is because I used to be that guy, very young. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was 19 years old. I had 2 clubs, Sacramento and Stockton.
I remember
I had a modeling agency, and I was going to college, and I had a job at Verizon. So I was a salesperson at Verizon. I'll never forget this. I was killing everybody. It was called AirTouch at the time, before Verizon. I sold more phones than anybody. I had my business card. I would go to Florin Mall, pass out my business card. Yo hablo español también. So I would speak Spanish to all my Latinos. I was like, dude, come get the phones, right? Hablo mucho, pero no estoy fluente. Hablo por 10 años, pero yo necesito practicar.
No necesitas practicar mucho porque ya sabes mucho.
Está bien, está viendo. So I would speak Spanish. People would come into the AirTouch waiting on me to get their phones activated. One day, I come in. I noticed that the vibe was a little different. And remember, I'm number 1, okay? Number 1 sales guy. The manager pulls me into the office, and she's like, Chris, I just wanted to let you know she had my final check. She's like, you're fired. And I was like, huh? You're fired. And I was like, what do you mean? And I literally, no joke, I went from her eyes to looking at the leaderboard. Like, let me make sure my mind's not playing tricks on me. I look at the leaderboard and still I'm number 1. And I was like, why? Like, I'm shocked. Why? And she's like, Chris, you don't get along with the team, and you're just way too cocky.
Not a team player.
And I was like for real? Like, I mean, I was just quiet. I was just like, and so here's your final check. And I remember to this day having my final check in the walk of shame. So this is the office, and this is the front door, and all the reps are right here.
Oh, man.
So you know, so
man,
walk of shame, and you could tell everybody already knew what was happening.
Oh, man.
So I walk out. You talk about humble. I walk out of the office with my final check, number 1 in the country, in my Lexus.
Oh man.
And I'm like sad. My mom's like, we're gonna sue them, and you know. But it humbled me. The reason why I'm humble, and the reason why you see this guy and you see his love, right? You see, like, you know, I never big dog any people, right? You can tell a lot about someone's character on how they treat people that are not important to them.
Yep.
You see me when I'm at the Kings game and talking to the security, you know, what's up to the janitors. Here's the number 1 reason. Through all of the pain and all of the failures, I've learned that no matter how hard I work, only God provides the increase. I have no audacity to take all the credit because I know exactly where it comes from. And so that's what makes me be at a point where I can have confidence, but not have a big ego.
That's amazing.
Thanks, man.
And I truly appreciate you owning up, like you owning it. You know, and knowing that you were like that. Like you went through there. And,
absolutely.
And there's a difference. There's a true difference between that. And I knew you then. I've seen a true difference in the way that you stayed humble. And I think it's great. I think it's awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
It's one of the reasons why I'm here. I mean, I know a lot of people out there look up to you. I personally look up to you.
I appreciate that.
I have a vision board on my wall. And on my vision board, from when that first came out, the Disney deal, your picture's on my vision board as a mentor.
Wow.
You're mentoring me today for an hour. I mean, this is awesome.
Love, man. Love. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, well, I appreciate Rico coming by. I hope this blesses you as much as it blessed us being here right now. Share, tag someone that this could be impactful for, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Ask Chris Johnson Show. Take care. God bless.
What an awesome hour, brother.
Thanks for watching the Ask Chris Johnson Show. If you want to be on the Ask Chris Johnson Show, go ahead and direct message me. Joel or I will get back to you as far as scheduling times. We'll see you on the next episode of the Ask Chris Johnson Show. Let's go!